Welcome to the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency, and we are located on the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. Today is the 12th of October, 2017. It's Thursday, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy.
And we will be reading the news for today's edition of the Fayetteville Observer.
We're going to begin with weather, your weather, Thursday, October 12th, 2017, the Fayetteville Observer. Today, we're going to have a high of 86, a low of 67 degrees, cloudy with a couple of showers. And Friday, a high of 82 degrees, a low of 65, a little AM rain, cloudy and still very humid. Saturday, the clouds are breaking, but it's going to be humid. A high of 83 and a low of 64. Sunday, still warm, high of 86, low of 66, partly sunny, very warm and humid. And Monday, a high of 80, a low of 54, with an afternoon thunderstorm. Let's see what Chick has to say. Quiet time. After the hectic pace of this year's hurricane season, wouldn't it be nice to have things a bit quieter? No season has been as docile as 1907, the only year on record with no hurricanes forming in the Atlantic or Gulf of Mexico waters. Wow. Now you could follow Chick, like I do, online at Fayetteville Observer /weather on Twitter.
Today in history. Today is Thursday, the 12th of October, 2017, and it is the 285th day of this year. There are only 80 days left in 2017. Today's highlight. On the 12th of October in 1492, according to the old style calendar, Christopher Columbus's expedition arrived in the present-day Bahamas. On today's date, in 1792, the first recorded U.S. celebration of Columbus Day was held to mark the tricentennial of Christopher Columbus's landing. On today's date, in 1810, the German festival, Oktoberfest, was first held in Munich to celebrate the wedding of Bavarian Crown Prince Ludwig and Princess Teresa of Saxe-Hildburghausen. And on today's date, in 1915, English nurse Edith Cavell was executed by a German firing squad for helping Allied soldiers escape from occupied Belgium during World War I. On today's date, in 1933, bank robber John Dillinger escaped from jail in Allen County, Ohio, with the help of his gang, who killed the sheriff, Jess Sarber. On today's date, in 1942, during World War II, American naval forces defeated the Japanese in the Battle of Cape Esperance. And on today's date, in 1957, Dr. Zeus, but many of you pronounce it Dr. Zeus, Yuletide Tale, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, was first published by Random House.
I love that story.
Do you like that house?
Yes,
that story? I like it too. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. They even made a little TV show, didn't they?
They did.
A little program. But anyway, let's talk about happy birthdays. Let's have a happy birthday to our local celebrity, Victor Alford. Today is his birthday on the 12th of October. And now, actress Antonia Ray is 90. Singer Sam Moore, formerly of Sam and Dave, is 82. Broadcast journalist Chris Wallace is 70. Actress-singer Susan Anton is 67. Rock singer-musician Pat DiNizio is 62. Pop singer-songwriter Jane Siberry is 62. Actor Hiroyuki Sanada is 57. Actor Carlos Bernard is 55. Jazz musician Chris Botti is 55. Rhythm and blues singer Claude McKnight of the Take Six Band is 55. Rock singer Bob Schneider is 52. Actor Hugh Jackman is 49. Actor Adam Rich is 49. Rhythm and blues singer Garfield Bright of Chi is 48. Country musician Marty McGuire of the Courthouse Hounds and the Dixie Chicks is 48. Actor Kirk Cameron is 47. Olympic star gold medal skier Bode Miller is 40. Rock singer Jordan Pundik of the Newfound Glory is 38. Actor Brian J. Smith is 36. Actor Tyler Blackburn is 31. Actor Marcus T. Polk is 31. And finally, wrapping it all up, is actor Josh Hutcherson, and he is 25 years old today.
All right. What do you need to know? Now, we have some fun things coming up, so grab your notebook so you can write these down. Need to know from Daybreak, today from the newspaper, Thursday, October 12th, 2017, and this is the Fayetteville Observer. First thing, a Blast from the Past Festival. Carvers Creek State Park will have its second annual Blast from the Past Festival on Saturday, this Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 3. There will be old-timey toys, quilters, crafts, beekeepers, farm animals, and more. Food trucks will be available on site. The park is at 2505 Long Valley Road in Spring Lake, and the admission is free. Second of all, ladies, if you have a Vera Bradley purse, those are the best kind to have, well, there's going to be a Vera Bradley bingo. The Autism Society of Cumberland County will have its 15th annual Vera Bradley bingo fundraiser on Friday at the Kiwanis Recreation Center, 352 Deaver Street. Doors open at 5 p.m. and bingo begins at 6. Packages of $20 and $25 are available in advance or at the door. And you can pre-order your bingo packages if you call this number. Ready? The number is 826-9100, extension 2268. That's for the Vera Bradley Bingo. And 3, we have a pig cook-off. Come on, everyone loves pulled pork. The pulled pork barbecue is king, October 21st, during the 14th Annual Vanders Civic Association Pig Cook-Off. The event begins on October 20th at 6 p.m. with the Anything But Barbecue contest. On Saturday, the pig cook-off judging begins at 8 a.m. and barbecue plate sales begin at 11. There also will be vendors, a car show at 5, and music. Activities take place at Vander Park, 128 Rock Hill Road. And last, we have the Night at the ASOM, 4th annual night at the Airborne and Special Operations Museum, better known as ASOM. Will be also on October 20th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. This free event includes candy, games, and spooky stories. Children are encouraged to wear a costume. One of the highlights of the evening is the flashlight guided tour of the museum's main gallery. For more information of the Night at the Awesome, please call 643-2773. Now we want to hear from you, readers, so submit your events in writing at least 10 days in advance. Email your calendar to fayobserver.com or fax your details to 486-3545. For questions, call 486-3500.
And for your public safety today, in Cumberland County, there were some arrests made. Garland Ernest McFall, age 50, of the 300 block of East Jenkins Street, was charged Tuesday with breaking and entering and conspiracy. Garland Ernest McFall's bail was set at $5,000. Andreco Royce de Monta Pointer, age 24, of the 1900 block of Powell Street, was charged Tuesday with discharging a firearm into an occupied dwelling. Andreco Royce de Monta Pointer's bail was set at $15,000. Jesse Dalton Graves, age 19, of the 100 block of Wilborough Avenue, was charged Wednesday with breaking and entering, larceny after breaking and entering, and possession of stolen goods. Jesse Dalton Graves' bail was set at $10,000. And break-ins in Cumberland County at Leavenhall Drive on the 600 block reported at 5:40 p.m. Tuesday. There was jewelry and iPads reported taken. On Huckleberry Drive, reported at 8:32 p.m. on Tuesday, nothing was reported taken. Sarah Lane, it was reported at 1:22 p.m. Tuesday that a washer, a dryer, a freezer, and a dog pen was reported taken. On Ruth Vinson Road in Octrville, it was reported at 11:27 a.m. on Tuesday that tools, a stove, a table, a battery charger were reported taken. And on Isabella Lane, reported at 7 a.m. on Tuesday, there was jewelry and a revolver reported taken. And thefts in Cross Creek Mall, reported at 5:10 p.m. on Tuesday, $400 in telephone and equipment was reported taken.
Wow.
On Ireland Drive, reported at 4:16 p.m. on Tuesday, a cell phone was reported taken. Finally, there was a shooting on Rim Road on the 2100 block. It was reported at 9:45 p.m. on Tuesday, and a man reported that someone shot into his occupied vehicle. And apparently the man that reported that must be okay because he contacted the police. What have you got, Nancy?
All right, all you zombies, listen up. That's right, I said zombies. The Zombie Walk is October 27th. This is written by Roger Mullen, one of our staff writers. The annual Downtown Zombie Walk is scheduled for October 27th from 6 to 10 p.m., said Sam Dubois, General Manager of the Cool Spring Downtown Alliance. The event will begin with a pre-party at the headquarters library at 300 Maiden Lane, and the party will include a DJ, face painting, and children's events. The walk is tentatively scheduled to begin at 8 p.m. and will proceed down Ray Avenue and Hay Street. It will end with a concert at 1 Market Square, the location of the new business to be called Back Around Records. Motor Junkie, Neef Lim, and Carolina Committee's DJ Mood Swing are scheduled to perform. And there's more. A zombie prom is scheduled to be held that night at the church at Patty's Irish Pub, 2606 Rayford Road. $5 cover charge will apply. This is the first year the Cool Spring Downtown Alliance is spearheading the event. Sean Atkins, the former owner of the Rock Shop, now owner of the Back Around Records, is still involved in organizing the event. The event has become a tradition, drawing thousands dressed as the undead, as well as those who line the streets just to watch. Last year's event drew an estimated crowd of more than 10,000. That's what the organizers said. So more information about the Zombie Walk you can reach by 223-1089. If you have any questions, you can talk to or write staff writer Roger Mullen at aramullen@fayeobserver.com or 486-3561.
And there are some residents near the Kimors plant. They get water test offers. This article was written by Steve Devane, a staff writer for the Fayetteville Observer. Residents who live in the area where a potentially harmful chemical has been detected in drinking water have gotten mail that appears to be aimed at enticing them to buy a water filter system. That sounds just like the mail I received about 2 months ago that we got in the mail. That they, under the auspices of being a concern for our water purity, it was, and I asked the person that was talking about it if they were trying to sell a filter, and they said, "Oh, that's not my department. I'm just the receptionist," which was a bunch of, well, you know what. Anyway, some residents who live near the Kimors plant, just off North Carolina Highway 87, have gotten an envelope that says community water test. The mail includes a survey that has a warning about Gen X, which is used to make non-stick coatings on cookware and other purposes, kind of like Teflon.
Yep.
Gen X has been found in the Cape Fear River and in private and public wells near the Kimors facility. Research has linked the chemical to testicular, pancreatic, and liver cancer in animals, but it is not known whether those effects are the same in human beings. The mail asks residents to fill out the survey and send it in a postage-paid envelope to the Water Analysis Department at a post office box in Raleigh. It promises a water test at no cost. That is exactly what we got, isn't it, Nancy? Bobby Lambert, who lives near Kimors plant, said he filled out the survey just like I did, but did not mail it. Well, I mailed it. He called a phone number that was listed in the information, and they wouldn't tell you anything about it, he said. They said they would just call back. They wouldn't tell you anything again, and they said they would promise to call you back. Okay? So some Fayetteville residents have received similar mail, according to Carolyn Justice Henson, a spokeswoman for the city's Public Works Commissions. Some residents have responded to the mail and gotten tests, which claim to show that the water contained Gen X, arsenic, and other compounds.
Arsenic?
Arsenic, yes, but we never got that report.
No.
We just got a phone call telling us that they wanted to come to our house and explain the results. That way they would have a foot in the door and then try to peddle us a water filter. Their information appeared to be misleading, and we wanted to remind customers about our drinking water standards and caution them before making costly commitments to products that have not been shown to remove those contaminants. PWC officials hear about such mail solicitations periodically. It is not uncommon for private companies to leave containers and try to get water samples from residents and then attempt to sell them water filters or bottled water. Jamie Kritzer, a spokesman for the State Department of Environmental Quality, said the department does not endorse products. And that was another thing that I did, Nancy, was I put in the PwC's report that I get every month when I get my bill from PwC. And I sent that to them.
Right.
And here they are still trying to sell us a water filter. Mm-hmm. At any rate, state officials strongly urge people to be cautious when considering the purchase of a home water filtering system. People should be aware that when opportunity presents itself, it can be predatory marketing, said Jamie Kritzer, which he is a spokesman for the State Department of Environmental Quality. People who have concerns should contact the Consumer Protection Division of the North Carolina Attorney General's Office. And if you have any comments about this article, you may write Steve Devane, or you may call him. You can reach him using email sdevane@fayeobserver.com, or you may call him at 910-486-3572. And guess what? There's a picture of the very same survey right here in the paper. And as a matter of fact, I made copies using our copy machine at home of this entire thing with the address and the P.O. box and everything, just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to tell everybody out there that they should be wary of this whole thing, because when I spoke to the girl, she pretended to have a South African accent, which she was trying to use that accent as a selling point. You know, oh yeah, you're from what, South Africa? Oh yeah, oh sure, yeah, you have that guy come by. And I never called her back, but she called me 3 or 4 times, and finally, apparently they gave up. But now that this is in our paper, maybe those people will stop sending those solicitations, which are called predatory marketing. Nancy, what have you got?
Well, excuse me. Remember how we were so irritated about how those dogs were trying to bite us when we were riding our bikes?
Yes.
Yesterday, and we had to pedal fast to get away from them?
Yeah, I remember that. One was a pit bull.
Right.
I was completely concerned about it, and I told you to ride on the left side of me, so if the dog bit anyone, he would be biting me. But what have you got over there? What'd you learn?
This is very dangerous. 74-year-old woman was attacked as she was getting out of her van after pulling up to a house on the 7300 block of Clinton Road, and a fox bit her on her leg and foot.
Wow, well, it's not a fox that's chasing us.
No, but a rabid fox has been confirmed in Stedman, according to Cumberland County Animal Control. This was written by Amanda Dolinsinski. 2 people who were attacked Tuesday have begun treatment for rabies exposure, according to Animal Control. And it's the second case of rabies in Cumberland County this year. The woman's 10-year-old granddaughter came outside the home unaware of the fox. The fox chased the girl and bit her on the arm. Oh, no. Really? Yeah. Animal Control said the woman and the girl suffered punctured bite wounds and were treated at Next Care Urgent Care. The Stedman police officer killed the fox, according to Animal Control. The fox was sent to the state lab in Raleigh for testing, and the lab confirmed the results Wednesday. Animal Control urges pet owners to check the vaccination status of their animals. If pets are not vaccinated or are due for a booster shot, owners should take them to a veterinarian for a rabies vaccination immediately. How do you know if something is rampant? Rabid. Rabid is how you pronounce the word. There's a way they behave. This is what they do. They change in their behavior. They may become aggressive and attack for no reason. They lose their fear of people and they act tame. How do you say that again? Rabid? Rabid animals?
Mm-hmm.
And they walk in a circle, drag a leg or fall over. Some cannot swallow, so they are unable to eat or drink and often drool. They die within a week after becoming ill. So you should avoid wild animals and keep a distance from stray dogs and cats. That's the first step in preventing an animal bite. Any pet that appears to have been in a fight while outside should be handled cautiously and may be seen by a veterinarian. If you are bitten or scratched by an animal, wash the wound under running water for at least 10 minutes with plenty of soap. Call animal control weekdays from 8 to 5:30. Ready? 321-6852. Or call animal control on weekends or after 5 p.m. Call the sheriff's office at 323-1500. Okay.
And now Myron B. Pitts has something for us today. He says that the mayor versus the mayor pro tem will be a close race. Myron says that it will be the mayor versus the mayor pro tem in the November election. Mitch Colvin, the pro tem who represents District 3, outpaced the other three candidates Tuesday, with incumbent Mayor Nat Robertson finishing second. Colvin's 13-point finish over Robertson seemed to bode well for his chances in the general election. But a person on Twitter called my attention to the striking similarity between Tuesday's results and those from 2013, when Mayor Nat Robertson first won his seat. The preliminary numbers from Tuesday were Colvin with 5,803 votes, or 45%, Robertson with 4,073 votes, which is 31%, Kirk DeVere had 2,770 votes, which was about 21.5%, and Ken Sedin Gribble had 241 votes, or 1.87%. The numbers from the 2013 primary were Val Applewhite with 5,416 votes, or 44%, Nat Robertson with 3,809 votes, which is about 31%. DeVere had 2,468 votes with 20%. Paul Williams had 517 votes, which was 4.19%. And Charles Reagan, he had 119 votes, which was almost 1%. In 2013, Mayor Nat Robertson made up that deficit, also 13 points, to narrowly win over Val Applewhite by fewer than 300 votes. So behind his bow tie wearing amiable persona is a pretty fierce campaigner. Nevertheless, he will have another tough race on his hands. Mitch Colvin's style is markedly different from Val Applewhite's. He is outspoken on the council, but does not have her reputation, whether fair or not, of stridency. Applewhite also had a couple of votes that put her at odds with much of the African American community, a base of support for both herself and Mitch Colvin. One notable example was her decision to side with an effort to raise bus fares on the low-income riders of this city. Mitch Colvin has no such encumbrances on the issues. He and Robertson are more defined by their similarities than differences. Both have been strong advocates for the downtown baseball stadium project and the voter-approved bond that expanded parks and recreation opportunities. In meetings, both of them prefer the more low-key style of communication versus the in-your-face approach. Mitch Colvin, director of one of the city's best-known funeral homes, even comes across as cerebral. There is daylight on one major issue between them. Nat Robertson voted against and Colvin voted for the 2014 tax increase that put more police officers on the streets of Fayetteville. The move is widely considered to have dramatically lowered crime rates under then Police Chief Harold Medlock. Mayor Robertson, an accountant and an account executive for LabCorp, a medical testing company, goes into the general election with a money advantage. I expect that to continue and the gap may widen. He had $45,000 on hand in late August compared to Mitch Colvin's $20,000. So the question is whether Mitch Colvin can raise enough money to be competitive. Tuesday's results suggests that he can. The mayor's race is nonpartisan, but in today's era of hyper-partisanship, do not be surprised if the parties at the state level get involved. Mayor Nat Robertson is an anomaly for large cities in this state. A Republican mayor in a Democratic stronghold and the first Republican mayor of Fayetteville since the 1970s. Major party involvement could also mean some mudslinging. So have your boots on and be ready for that mud. But more importantly, do not get distracted by all that mudslinging. I expect debates between the mayor and the mayor pro tem to be substantive and issues focused. That is a good thing. You owe it to yourself to attend the forums with them and all of the candidates. You are more likely to discover in those forums rather than in a campaign ad or what you read in the newspaper. What ideas each has to carry the city forward is going to be an issue you should consider. Columnist Myron B. Pitts can be reached at mpitts@fayobserver.com, or you may call Myron Pitts if you want to discuss this article with him at 910-486-3559. The time now is 10:33 a.m. on Thursday, the 12th of October, 2017. I would like to remind you that this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency, and we broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University. Our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a non-profit agency, we rely on public donations, and we request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or call the toll-free number at 844-709-5656. Remember, your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy,
and we are proud to serve you today.
All right, Clark. Next Thursday when we come to read, we might be coming a different way to come here.
Why is that?
The Murchison Road is going to force the traffic to shift.
Oh, no.
You know all the water and the construction that we see on that brand new road? We see it every morning as we come here. Are you with me, Clark?
I am with you all the way. What's going to happen? They've been tearing the roads up lately. Seems like it hasn't stopped since 2000.
Well, they've spent $24.3 million building this road. Starting this Friday,
Wow.
traffic on the southern end of Murchison Road will be shifted onto a newly built portion of the Rowan Street Bridge project. Traffic realignment is necessary for crews to continue building 3 concrete Cross Creek culverts that are part of the project. A spokesman for the State Department of Transportation said, drivers on Murchison Road will be directed onto a new roadway. The shift will be at the traffic light at West Rowan Street and Bragg Boulevard. The $24.3 million contract with S.T. Wooten Corporation of Wilson includes building, listen to this, Clark, a 6-lane bridge. That one that we're watching?
Oh,
It's going to be 6 lanes.
6 lanes. Into the baseball stadium, probably.
And realign Rowan Street, Murchison Road, and Bragg Boulevard into a new intersection. Here's why. The project will create a new gateway into the downtown
Ah, yes, the baseball stadium.
and a more prominent route to Fayetteville State University
Hey!
campus on Murchison Road.
An easy drive for us.
Project is scheduled for completion in May of 2020, with motorists able to use the new bridge by late 2019. Now, this is written by Roger Mullen. He's a staff writer. You can reach Roger at rmullen@fayobserver.com, or you can call Roger at 486-3561.
Well, here we are. We have a question for the Live Wire and the Observer's staff, and the headline is, cost of flood insurance is unlikely to come down. Question. I have flood insurance. It is expensive. You must pay cash for the premium, not finance it. People in the news keep saying to buy flood insurance, but how do common people, poor people, or older people, how can they afford flood insurance when it costs $1,400 to $2,000 and you must pay cash up front? And this question was written by JJ of Fayetteville. Answer. If you are looking for someone to blame for the cost of flood insurance, you may blame Hurricane Matthew. Ah, yes. Blame Harvey, blame Irma, or blame Sandy, or any of the other countless collection of major floods that have sent insurers into the panic mode. Blame development that has turned large areas of land, that probably wooded land and grassy land, that used to absorb rain into a concrete riverbed that sends excess rainfall that cascades down everywhere. Blame the redrawn flood zone maps that may now include subdivisions that were once immune to flooding. It is difficult to know if the increase is exorbitant without knowing the value of the property. For example, on a home valued at $200,000 that is in a flood zone, that increases have been higher than that. And there is no indication that it is going to change. The federal flood insurance program, which has handled much of the nation's policies, is billions and billions of dollars in debt, dating back before Hurricane Katrina. The back-breaking bills from Harvey and Irma will certainly pitch it into a deeper hole, that being the federal flood insurance program. After checking with insurance folks, it appears there is no magic wand to reduce the prices of flood insurance, and they are probably going to climb even higher in the future. Thus, there are a few options for homeowners in the flood areas. Well, they can pay off their mortgage, but how many people do you know, Nancy,
They
that
can't
can just
pay off their mortgage.
all of a sudden pay off their mortgage?
That's not going to happen.
At which point flood insurance is no longer required. So if you, and I believe we talked about that, Nancy, last year, when most of those people we felt in Lumberton, because they were a little bit older and probably had owned their homes over 30 years, probably had the mortgage paid for, and decided to drop even insuring their homes. We discussed that, didn't we? Well, anyway, let me continue with this thing. Let's see. They can pay off their mortgage, at which point flood insurance is no longer required. It is still a good idea, but not required. And those people can shop for more reasonable rates. They can jack the home up, as many are doing after Hurricane Matthew. And I believe he means that you can put the house on stilts of some sort, or on concrete blocks that are above the ground surface. If the bump in rates has come after a FEMA flood plain shift, they can appeal the ruling. Or if the cost is too much, you can just pick up and move and buy another house. Now, how many people do you know that can just do that?
Nobody.
Well, there's a few, but not many. It would be like having a luxury car, but no way to afford the insurance, even if the luxury is all in the mind of the insurance company. Chick Jacobs, our weatherman, wrote this, and it says here that Livewire seeks to answer questions of general interest and consumer topics. And they use initials to identify the questioners when names are given. You may contact Livewire at livewire@fayeobserver.com, or if you want to call and talk to them about a question, you may call 910-486-3516, and I bet when you call that number, you're going to speak directly to Chick Jacobs. What have you got, Nancy?
Oh, we're going to go to the Vegas massacre. Michael Balsamo has an interesting bit of information. Worker warned of shooter before the Vegas massacre. A maintenance worker said Wednesday he told hotel dispatchers to call the police and report a gunman had opened fire with a rifle inside Mandalay Bay before the shooter began firing from his high-rise suite into a crowd at a nearby musical performance. The revised timeline has renewed questions about whether better communication might have allowed police to respond more quickly and take out the gunman before he committed the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. Worker Stephen Shook told NBC News that he was checking out a report of a jammed fire door on the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay when he heard gunshots, and a hotel security guard who had been shot in the leg peeked out from an alcove and told him to take cover. As soon as I started to go to a door to my left, the rounds started coming down the hallway, Shook said. I could feel them pass right behind my head. It was kind of relentless, so I called over the radio what was going on. He said, as soon as the shooting stopped, we made our way down the hallway and took cover again, and the shooting started again. Police said Monday they believe gunman Stephen Paddock shot a hotel security guard through the door of his suite 6 minutes before he unleashed a barrage of bullets into the crowd of concert goers, killing 58 people and injuring hundreds more. The injured guard used his radio, possibly a hallway phone, to also call hotel dispatchers for help. That account differs dramatically from the one police gave last week when they said Paddock fired through the door of his room and injured the unarmed guard after shooting into the crowd. The company that owns Mandalay Bay has questioned the new timeline. We cannot be certain about the most recent timeline, said Deborah Deschamps, a spokeswoman for MGM Resorts International. We believe what is currently being expressed may not be accurate. Las Vegas police did not respond Tuesday night to questions about the hotel's statement. Our officers got there as fast as they possibly could, and they did what they were trained to do, Las Vegas Assistant Sheriff Todd Fasulo said earlier Tuesday. Gunshots can be heard in the background as Shook reported the shooting on his radio, telling a dispatcher, "Call the police! Someone's firing a gun up here. Someone's firing a rifle on the 32nd floor down the hallway." It was unclear if the hotel relayed the information to the Las Vegas police, who did not respond to questions from the Associated Press about whether hotel security or anyone else in the hotel called 911 to report the gunfire. Joseph Giacalone, professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice and a retired New York City police sergeant, said the new timeline changes everything. There absolutely was an opportunity in that time frame that some of this could have been mitigated, he said. Nicole Rapp, whose mother was knocked to the ground, trampled at the country music concert, said, "She's having a hard time wrapping my head around why police changed the timeline of the shooting. It's very confusing to me that they are just discovering this a week later," she said. "How did we not know this before? It's traumatic for the victims and their families not to be sure of what happened."
And here's an article about the devastation that is enormous. This article was written by Jonathan J. Cooper and Jacqueline Gecker of the Associated Press. It's talking about the deadly California wildfires that are forcing officials to issue new evacuation orders, and the death toll from those fires has risen to 21. Santa Rosa, California. Wildfires tearing through California wine country flared up again Wednesday, destroying hundreds more homes and other buildings and leading to new evacuation orders as authorities raised the death toll to 21 and warned that the number would rise. At least 3,500 homes and businesses have been destroyed since the wildfires started Sunday, making them the third deadliest and the most destructive blazes in California state history. Nearly 3 days after the flames ignited in Northern California, firefighters were still unable to gain control of the blazes, which were growing in number. California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection spokesman Daniel Bertlant said 22 wildfires were burning up from 17 on Tuesday. Flames have raced across the wine-growing region of California and the scenic coastal area of Mendocino, which is farther north, leaving little more than smoldering ashes and eye-stinging smoke in their wake. Whole neighborhoods are gone, with only brick chimneys and charred laundry machines to mark sites that were once family homes. Authorities ordered more evacuations for parts of Sonoma Valley after a blaze grew to 44 square miles of fire. Officials also cautioned that after a day of cooler weather and calmer winds, dangerous gusts could and would return Wednesday. Sonoma County Sheriff Robert Giordano said the number of missing people reports surpassed 600, up from about 200 a day earlier. But officials believe many of those people will be found, saying that the chaotic evacuations and poor communications over the past few days have made locating friends and family very difficult. He also expects the death toll to climb, and that is the Sonoma County Sheriff Robert Giordano. The devastation is enormous. We cannot even get into most of the areas. Officials in Napa County say almost half the population of Calistoga, California was ordered to evacuate before sunrise. Officials went through the town of about 5,000 people block by block, knocking on doors to warn people to leave. Napa County Supervisor Diane Dillon said that. News evacuation orders were also in place for Green Valley and Solano County. Napa County Fire Chief Barry Bierman said high winds and low humidity fueled the fires and similar conditions were expected to return. Yesterday was a very aggressive day for fire behavior with some rapid expansion for fires, he said, that being Fire County Chief Barry Bierman. We are expecting some extreme fire behavior on Wednesday. Well, that was yesterday. In Southern California, cool weather and moist ocean air helped firefighters gain ground against a wildfire that has scorched more than a dozen square miles. Orange County Fire Authority Captain Steve Concialdi said the blaze was nearly halfway surrounded and full containment was expected by Saturday. So it appears, Nancy, that the firefighters have almost surrounded this giant fire and are waiting to close in and contain it. But another round of gusty winds and low humidity levels could arrive today.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
All right, we're going to talk about use of sock from the local and state. This is by Drew Brooks, the military editor. You may have asked yourself, what is use of sock and what does it do? A team of Fort Bragg soldiers set their sights on one of the top officials within warlord Joseph Kony's Lord's Resistance Army late year. The soldiers, working with government agencies and non-profit organizations, tracked down the family of the official communications chief, Michael Omono. He played a key role in the Ugandan warlord's cultish militant group, which was built on the backs of former child soldiers abducted from their homes in Uganda, South Sudan, the Central African Republic, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Fort Bragg soldiers, part of a regional psychological operations team deployed to Africa, they weren't targeting Omana with firepower. Instead, it was a campaign fueled by facts and meant to counter the misinformation Kony spread across his force. Speaking at the annual meeting at the Association of the U.S. Army in Washington, Colonel Bethany Aragon, the commander of the 4th Military Information Support Group at Fort Bragg, described what happened next. If you can envision yourself walking through this dense jungle, she said. As he's walking through the jungle, he hears his mother's voice begging him to come home. The voice came from a U.S. Army loudspeaker team, piping voices into the countryside. A little while later, leaflets dropped from the sky. On them, images of Omana's uncle, who raised him as a father, and his daughter, both pleading for Omono to turn himself in to authorities. We targeted him, Aragon said, and in January 2017 he walked for 2 weeks to defect. Omono's defection gave authorities key information in the search key for Kony and the LRA. He provided access to codes used by the group and inside information on the higher workings of the LRA. It is one of the highest profile defections in the long-running effort to dismantle the LRA. and Aragon used the example to show the value psychological operations soldiers played in those efforts. For over 2 decades, they abducted over 60,000 children, massacred tens of thousands of civilians, displaced 2 million people, and then really destabilized a region the size of California, she said of the LRA. Today, Aragon said the LRA has been rendered irrelevant, and a generation of stolen Uganda children have been returned to their homes, as the LRA has dwindled from an army of thousands to less than 100 members. So what is the value of USASOC? At AUSA, Aragon and other special operations leaders presented case studies on the value of their forces during a panel led by Lieutenant General Kenneth E. Tovo, Commanding General of U.S. Army Special Operations Command. Often working with foreign partners, conventional forces, and other government agencies, Tovo said the Army Special Operations Forces provide a set of unique capabilities that can't be easily produced. And their most effective operation was the LRA and when this effective psychological operation campaign in Africa today. Alright, so there you go for some information on USASOC and its impact.
And now, the Boy Scouts plan to expand girls' participation. In its latest momentous policy shift, the Boy Scouts of America will admit girls into the Cub Scouts starting next year and establish a new program for older girls based on the Boy Scout program. Founded in 1910 and long considered a bastion of tradition, the Boy Scouts have undergone major changes in the past 5 years, agreeing to accept openly gay youth members and adult volunteers as well as transgender boys. The expansion of girls' participation, announced Wednesday after unanimous approval by the organization's board of directors, is arguably the biggest change yet. Many scouting organizations in other countries already allow both genders and use gender-free names such as Scouts Canada, but for now, the Boy Scout label will remain. There are no plans to change our name at this time, spokeswoman Effie Delamarco said in an email. Under the new plan, Cub Scout dens, the smallest unit of the Boy Scouts, will be single gender, either all boys or all girls. The larger Cub Scout packs will have the option to remain single gender or welcome both genders. The program for older girls is expected to start in the year 2019 and will enable girls to earn the same Eagle Scout rank that has been attained by astronauts, admirals, senators, and other luminaries. Boy Scout leaders said the change was needed to provide more options for parents. The values of scouting, trustworthy, loyal, helpful, kind, brave, and reverent, for example, are important for both young men and women, said Michael Surbaugh, Chief Scout Executive. The announcement follows many months of outreach by the Boy Scouts of America, which distributed videos and held meetings to discuss the possibility of expanding girls' participation beyond existing programs, such as venturing, exploring, and Sea Scouts. Surveys conducted by the Boy Scouts showed strong support for the change among parents. The time now is 11 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, the 12th of October, 2017. I would like to remind you that this is the Southeastern North Carolina radio reading service. It is a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University. Our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a non-profit agency, we rely on public donations, and we request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina radio reading service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call 910-672-1600 or call the toll-free number 844-709-5656. And remember that today your radio hosts are Clark and
Nancy.
And we are proud to serve you today.
So we are moving to the obituaries. Today in the Fayetteville Observer, Thursday, October 12th, 2017. And the following deaths have been reported. See upcoming editions of the Fayetteville Observer for complete obituary information. Cumberland County, we have David E. Landers, age 64, of Fayetteville, Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service and Crematory. Retired Staff Sergeant Alfred K. Austin II, age 64, of Clinton, Rogers and Breese Funeral Home. Felton J. Smith, age 93, of Stedman, Wiseman Mortuary. Wendell A. Owens, age 46, of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. And Reg Edward Richard, age 78, of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. Moving to the Cape Fear region, Theodore Hill, age 81, of Tar Heel, Johnson's Funeral Service. Mary Bullock, age 89, of Clinton, Worley Funeral Home in Clinton. And Lee Calder, 79, of Laurinburg, Richard Bowles Funeral. Cumberland County, we have Barbara A. Copeland. In Fayetteville, Barbara Ann Copeland passed away from a lengthy illness at the age of 85 on Sunday, October 8, 2017, at Autumn Care Nursing Facility in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Born in 1931 in Kalamazoo, Barbara met her husband, James Copeland, while working in the Navy building in Washington, D.C. They married in 1953, were happily married until James' death in 2009. A memorial service will be held at 11 a.m. Saturday, October 14th at Pinecrest Funeral and Cremation Services of Hope Mills. Ellie Mae Gibbs, formerly of Fayetteville, this is in Charlotte. Ella Mae Gibbs, age 68, of Charlotte, died Saturday, October 7th, 2017. Memorial will be Saturday at 11, Rogers and Breese Funeral Home. Retired Sergeant Major Daniel Ray Powers. Retired Sergeant Major Daniel Ray Powers, age 69, of Fayetteville, passed away on Friday, October 6, 2017. He served in the Army, dedicating 30 years of service in Special Forces. After retirement, he worked as a civilian contractor for the Army. He was preceded in death by his mother, father, a sister, and a brother. The family will receive friends from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight, Thursday, October 12th, 2017, at Rogers and Breese Funeral Home. Funeral service will be held at 11 a.m. Friday, October 13th, at the JFK Chapel on Fort Bragg with Reverend Deacon Patrick Snyder, Chaplain Roy Hill officiating. Burial will follow in Cumberland Memorial Garden Cemetery. Services are entrusted to Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. Alan D. Callis Sr., Spring Lake, retired Army Sergeant First Class Alan D. Callis Sr., age 64, of Spring Lake, went to be with the Lord on October 3rd, 2017. Funeral services will be held on Friday, October 13th at 12. Wiseman Mortuary will carry the details. Madeline H. Trogdon, Hope Mills. Madeline Hampton Trogdon, age 83, of Hope Mills, died peacefully in her home on Tuesday, October 10th, 2017, surrounded by her family. The funeral services will be held at 12 p.m. on Friday, October 13th, 2017, at Pinecrest Funeral and Crematory Services of Hope Mills. Burial will follow at Gilmont Cemetery. The family will receive friends 1 hour prior to the service at the funeral home. Frankie S. Cromwell from Salisbury. Mrs. Frankie Lavada Shook Cromwell, 85, of Salisbury, North Carolina, passed away Wednesday, October 11th, at her residence. The family will receive friends from 1 to 2:30 p.m. at Somerset Funeral Home. Funeral service will follow at 2:30 p.m. Saturday, October 14th, at Somerset Memorial Chapel, officiated by Reverend Tim McQueen. Burial will be at Rowan Memorial Park. Somerset Funeral Home is serving the Cromwell family. Richard Stanley Ray from Dunn. Richard Stanley Ray, age 63, of Dunn, died Monday, October 9th, 2017. His funeral will be Friday at 2, the Cape Fear Conference Headquarters, Irwin. It's handled by the Dafford Funeral Home in Dunn. Keisha L. Blue from Fairmont. Keisha L. Blue, age 45, of Fairmont, formerly Roland, died Wednesday, October 4th. Funeral will be Saturday at 1 p.m., the New Hope United Methodist Church. This is by the Roland Hill Funeral Home. Annie Grace Ezel from Clinton. Annie Grace Ezel, 91, of Clinton, died Wednesday, October 11th. Funeral will be Friday at 3 p.m., Crumpler Honeycutt Funeral Home. And Myrtle Strickland Oxendine in Roland. Myrtle Strickland Oxendine of Roland died Tuesday, October 10th, 2017. The funeral will be Friday at 2 p.m., Beulah Baptist Church. This is the Richard Bowles Funeral Service. Dylan James Knox of Raleigh, age 32, died Sunday, October 8th, 2017. The funeral will be Saturday at 3 p.m., O'Quinn Peebles Phillips Chapel. This is the funeral home and crematory in Lillington. Esther Anna Smith from Clinton, age 87, died Thursday, October 5th, 2017. Funeral is Saturday at 2 p.m., Wilson Chapel Missionary Baptist Church in Turkey. Visitation Worley Funeral Home, and this is handled by the Worley Funeral Home in Clinton. Meredith Kerr Norden, formerly of Clinton, age 27, died Monday, October 9th. Memorial will be Saturday at 7 p.m., Graves Memorial Presbyterian Church, the McQueen Building, Clinton, Royal Hall Funeral Home. And Carl L. Canfield from Whitefield. Carl L. Canfield, age 59, of Whitefield, died Tuesday, October 10th, 2017. Gravesite is Friday at 10, Whiteville Memorial Cemetery. This is the McKinsey Mortuary Service. James Elton Long from Whiteville, age 78, Died Monday, October 9th, 2017. Graveside Thursday at 2 p.m. Whiteville Memorial Cemetery, and the burial will be the Whiteville Memorial Cemetery Mackenzie Mortuary Service.
Where's that at?
Is it? It's not there.
And now we have something by Abby, for Dear Abby. Meat and potatoes man pans his friend's vegan cooking. Dear Abby, I retired after a 40-year career. A friend from work, Bernie, is the same age I am, age 62, but he is still working. 6 years ago, I had a serious health crisis, and 3 years ago, Bernie survived a heart attack. Since then, Bernie worries incessantly about dying. He exercises rigorously and eats a strictly vegan diet. I like to spend time with him, but I am more casual about diet and exercise. Neither of us is going to be a GQ model, regardless of how much we diet or exercise. I say life should be enjoyed, but Bernie is too busy obsessing, compulsively taking medicine and working out. Today he invited me out to supper. Instead of going to a restaurant, he said he was cooking another of his not too tasty vegan meals. I do not want to offend or discourage Bernie, but I hate his cooking. What should I do? Would a steak and a baked potato kill him? Signed, Paunchy but Happy in Kentucky. Dear Paunchy but Happy in Kentucky, because you enjoyed Bernie's company, call him and tell him you would love to come to supper, but because you are a carnivore, you will be bringing your own steak and potato with you. So tell him to fire up the boiler. Dear Abby, my mother died from a heroin overdose when I was 8 years old. As a mother with children of my own, I often find myself getting upset when people say nice things about her. Things that would normally make people feel good, such as, oh, she would have been so proud of you, or she was such a great woman. I feel that if my mother was such a great woman, she would not have chosen drugs over her or our well-being. How can I let go of all this anger I feel towards my mother when everyone else sees her only in a good light? Signed, Mixed Feelings About Mom. Dear signed about Mixed Feelings About Mom. I'm sorry for the loss of your mother at such a tender age and under such tragic circumstances. Far more is understood about drug addiction today than it was known when you were a child. We now know that addiction can be less about a lack of character than a medical problem. I seriously doubt that when your mother gave herself her final fix, she realized it would be her last. While I sympathize with your anger at being cheated out of her presence in your life, it would be better for your own quality of life if you would accept that she was a human being and she was fallible. A licensed mental health professional can help you work through your anger, and I hope that you will talk to someone soon. And finally, Dear Abby, we host many gatherings in our home during the year, including picnics. We have a downstairs bathroom that is intended for our guests, but twice now I have encountered guests using my upstairs bathroom. Now, I have never offered the use of my upstairs bathroom, and I am offended that they take it upon themselves to go uninvited into my private territory. I would never do that in someone else's home. Am I wrong? Or are they overstepping the boundaries that I have set forth here? Signed, Wandering in the East. Dear Wandering in the East, to use your upstairs bathroom without asking your permission is overstepping their boundaries. The exception might be if the downstairs bathroom was in use and the need to get into a bathroom was extremely urgent. Readers, you can write to Dear Abby at dearabby.com, or you may mail Dear Abby, Post Office Box 69440, Los Angeles, California 90069.
Billy Graham says, no matter what your past offenses are, Jesus wants to forgive you. Question is, I'll be released from prison in a few months, and I'm really scared. I don't have the strength to stay on the straight and narrow. I know I'll just end up back in prison, although I don't want to. I guess I need God, but I doubt if God needs me. No one else does. As for the most important truth I can ever tell you, and the most important truth you can ever know, is that God loves you and He wants to come into your life and help you. God's promise is for you. I've loved you with an everlasting love, from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 3. How do I know this is true? The reason is because God has already demonstrated His love for us by sending His Son Jesus Christ into the world to die for us. He was without sin, but God appointed Him to become the final and complete sacrifice for our sins. On the cross, all our sins were placed in Him, and He took upon Himself the judgment in hell that you and I deserve. God proved this by raising Him from the dead. Would Christ have died for you if you were worthless? Would Jesus have gone to the cross if He didn't love you? No, of course not. He loves you and He wants to forgive you for all your sins, no matter what you've done. More than that, He wants to come into your life and give you the strength to live as you should. By a simple step of faith, invite Christ to come into your life today. Then ask Him to lead you to a church where you can grow strong in your faith and can meet people who will encourage you and help you live for Christ. Now you can write to the Reverend Billy Graham at the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, 1 Billy Graham Parkway, Charlotte, North Carolina 28201. Or you can call Billy at 8772-GRAHAM. The website for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association is at billygraham.org. This is by the Tribune Media Services.
And now it is tongue twister time from the People's Pharmacy. And this is from Joe and Teresa Graydon. The first question is, do antidepressants really encourage suicide? Question. Sertraline, or Zoloft, has been a lifesaver for me, and I have read about the suicide link with antidepressants, but I have also read that if people are thinking of suicide, the medication can energize them so that they follow through with their suicide. My doctor told me this as well. Answer. Health professionals were taught for decades that antidepressant medications could help depressed people get mobilized enough to complete a suicide attempt. Now, the Food and Drug Administration warns that antidepressants may increase the risk of suicidal thinking and behavior, and that they are direct side effects of the drugs. This is perceived as a problem for children, adolescents, and young adults. However, suicide also may pose a risk among older people, especially when they are starting or stopping antidepressant medications. This came from BM, dated February 18, 2015. While many individuals are helped by antidepressants, others suffer terrible consequences. One reader described a recent family tragedy. My dear mother-in-law, who was a wonderful, caring, responsible, and supportive individual, killed herself in a violent, horrible way. We are still reeling from the shock. She had never shown any signs of depression, and she started taking an antidepressant, and as a result, she died in a car accident. Question. I am currently on 40 milligrams of atorvastatin, and I take it daily. I heard that red yeast rice also can help reduce my cholesterol level. May I take both of them together before sleep, or should I take them separately, one in the morning and one at night? Answer. Since you are already taking atorvastatin, you should not add red yeast rice to the mix. The combination could increase your risk of statin side effects without providing significant additional benefit. There are other cholesterol lowering options that would be compatible with atorvastatin, such as an anti-inflammatory diet that contains fish, ginger, garlic, and olive oil. You can learn more about them and other ways to protect your heart in the Guide to Cholesterol Control and Heart Health that we are sending you. Anyone who would like a copy, please send $3 in a check or money order with a long number 10 stamped with 70 cents with a 70-cent stamped self-addressed envelope to Graydon's People's Pharmacy, number C-8, Post Office Box 52027, Durham, North Carolina 27717-2027. It can also be downloaded for the low price of $2 from our website, www.peoplespharmacy.com. And remember, that is the Guide to Cholesterol Control and Heart Health. And the final question for Joe and Teresa Graydon is, I have had bad seasonal allergies for years. I am allergic to tree and weed pollen. Indoor allergies include dust mites and my cats. And I sneeze year-round. I have been on allergy shots for a very long time, and about a year ago, I started using nasal crom spray 2 to 3 times a day. Since I've been using nasal crom spray, I have had 0 symptoms from allergies. This is by far the best nasal spray for me. Answer. Cromolyn, sodium, or nasal crom is different from the usual nasal sprays because it is neither the decongestant nor an antihistamine. Instead, it prevents mast cells in the nasal passages from releasing the histamine. As a result, you do not suffer the consequences of histamine and do not need an antihistamine. And because one of the effects of histamine is congestion, you also don't need a decongestant. The biggest disadvantage to nasal crom is that you need to use it preventively, before your symptoms start, in an effort to prevent any symptoms from starting. To be effective, it must be applied 3 or 4 times a day, if you can manage that. And we think it is an excellent solution to seasonal allergies. You may write to the Gradens via their website at peoplespharmacy.com.
And now we're going to the horoscope by Stella Wilder, so everybody please pay attention. Alright, folks, if you were born today, then you can always be counted on to step up and get involved when things get tough, when others are threatened, or when you spy injustice anywhere. You may find that you are an example to many at some point in your life, and this is something you will use to everyone's advantage again and again. Okay, Libra, come on, step up, September 23rd to October 22nd. Libra, you're mistaken if you think being alone throughout the day will be productive. You need interaction to get your juices flowing. Scorpio, you must be willing to talk openly about one or two potentially sensitive topics in order to avoid a major holdup down the road. Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st. Okay, Saggy, what's up? You know just how far you've come and also how far you still have to go. So don't let anyone slow you down today. And Capricorn, December 22nd to January 19th. Capri, an obstacle is presented to you early in the day, but right now, that's the best time for you to face any such challenge. Aquarius, January 20th to February 18th. Aquarius, listen, you must not break any rules today, nor must you make any that put someone else at a disadvantage. And Pisces, the fish, February 19th to March 20th. Pisces, you're entering a new phase. You're likely to see many things in a whole new light, including yourself and a friend. Aries, March 21st to April 19th. Aries, the job you're tending to right now may not content you, but you can certainly perform better than anyone else you know. Taurus, that's me, April 20th to May 20th. You're not one to say what mustn't be said, but today you may be tempted to do just that because someone has pushed you to the limit. Gemini, May 21st to June 20th. Gemmy, you'll enjoy watching someone else be put to the test today after you went through something similar recently. Be supportive. And Cancer, are you listening over there, Clark? Cancer.
I'm listening.
June 21st to July 22nd. You are waiting for the right time to tell a loved one something you've been keeping to yourself for a while. And that time is now. And Leo, July 23rd to August 22nd. Leo the Lion. Try as you might, Leo, you're not likely to accomplish all your goals today simply because you cannot exceed your own human limits. And last but not least is Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd. Someone else is likely to provide you with what you need today. Though you haven't asked for it outright, signals have been clear enough. And that was our horoscope for today, Thursday, October 12th, 2017, from the Fayetteville Observer.
Your cheers and jeers for today. Cheers to the Youth Development Department of Fayetteville, Cumberland Parks and Recreation. Under the leadership of Crystal Glover, as well as the local recreation center leaders, including Walker Rhea and his staff at Stedman. Through this program, my daughter and other youth in this community have had the opportunity to learn leadership skills through the Counselor in Training program. My daughter has gained confidence, felt appreciated, and been encouraged each day to make a difference in a child's life. She is already looking forward to volunteering again next summer, the summer of 2018. Thank you for investing in the development of the youth in this community. You are appreciated. This was written by Jessica Griffin of Roseboro. Cheers to Dunkin' Donuts on Rayford Road. Employees Lynn, Matt, and Nass gave exceptional service to my wife and me recently. And here is to a great job well done. This was written by Robert Thomas of Fayetteville. Send us your cheers or jeers. If you want to share praise for an individual or a business or vent about a bad experience, submit your cheer or jeer to cheersandjeers@fayobserver.com, or you may call at 910-486-3590. Please include your full name, your hometown, and your phone number, and limit your item to 125 words. To correct or cancel your submission, call 910-609-0651. Cheers and Jeers are published as the space permits. And the time now is 11:31 in the morning on the 12th of October 2017, and it's time for me to remind you that this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations, and we request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call 910-672-1600 or call the toll-free number 844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy.
And we are proud to serve you today.
Leonard Pitts Jr. has written this article. The GOP is finally, sorta, willing to admit the obvious. And there's a picture of Leonard right here before I begin reading. Yes, he's childish and incompetent. Is that really news by now? But of course, it wasn't that assessment of failed President Trump that made jaws drop over the weekend so much as it was the person making it. Meaning Senator Bob Corker, who unleashed an extraordinary barrage of contempt on Twitter in a New York Times interview. Tennessee Republican referred to the White House as an adult daycare center, accused the failed president of treating his office like a reality show, and fretted that it was steering the nation into World War III with his reckless behavior. Significantly, Corker, who is a lame duck, said that every Republican in the Senate realizes this, though they won't say it openly, and this was only one of two recent headlines about Trump being blasted by friendly fire. The Corker story broke just days after NBC News reported that Secretary of State Rex Tillerson called him a moron following a meeting in July. For the record, the spokeswoman belatedly denied Tillerson used that word, but NBC is standing by its report, and CNN later verified the quote independently. Once again, the opinion is less striking than the person offering it. But whatever satisfaction one might derive from hearing Trump hammered by his own troops is insufficient to blunt the anger that rises close behind. It's all well and good to hear these men acknowledged Trump's unfitness, but here's the thing. He did not suddenly become unfit overnight. He didn't morph into an overgrown toddler with his finger on the nuclear trigger over the weekend. Moronity did not blindside him when Tillerson had that meeting in July. To the contrary, his defectiveness was obvious the moment he rode that golden escalator down to the microphone and pronounced Mexican immigrants rapists. It went from obvious to glaring over the course of the most bizarre political campaign in history. A filthy slog, though administration jokes, penis-sized bragging, sexual assault boasting, calls for violence 24/7, lies and breathtaking ignorance about, well, pretty much everything. Yet none of that stopped Tillerson from agreeing to be his Secretary of State or croaker during the campaign, from offering his support. None of it has since stopped their party from insisting with straight faces and admirable limitations of his sincerity that Trump knows what he's doing, has it all under control. None of it has stopped them from rationalizing and excusing his awfulness. 9 months in, we live in a state of enveloping chaos. Nuclear tensions on the rise, social tensions tearing at the thin fabric of national unity. Puerto Rico drowned in the dark and ignored, American kids facing mass deportation, and all of it presided over by a Twitter holic ignoramus who has more beefs than a cattle rancher. This is not a presidency, it is a national emergency. So one cannot help but be angry at this revelation, removing all doubt. Not that there was much left, that Republicans do indeed know how bad their guy is, how dangerous he is. They know, they've always known, but they went along with it, prioritizing their party over our country, an act of craven partisanship that would have been foreign to the brave and principled Republicans who stopped Richard Nixon in 1974. Until and unless it evolves that sort of moral backbone, that sort of patriotism, the GOP's tardy willingness to kinda sorta admit the obvious is just so much useless, self-serving noise. Donald Trump is a lousy excuse for a president. Gee, tell me something I don't know. Well, I would never say that about our president, that's for sure. And it makes me mad that that is in there.
And here is an article that talks about new cars increasingly crammed with distracting technology. This was written by Joan Lowy of the Associated Press. In Washington, the infotainment technology that automakers are cramming into the dashboard of new vehicles is making drivers take their eyes off the road and their hands off the wheel for dangerously long periods of time, said the AAA. The study released by the AAA last week, and that is, the AAA is the American Automobile Association. The American Automobile study released last week is the latest by University of Utah professor David Strayer, who has been examining the impact of infotainment systems on the safety for the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety since 2013. The past studies also identified problems, but David Strayer said the explosion of technology has made things worse for drivers. Automakers now include more infotainment options to allow drivers to use social media, to use email, and to use texting. The technology is also becoming more complicated to use. Cars used to have just a few little buttons here and there and some knobs. But now some vehicles have as many as 50 buttons to play with on the steering wheel and the dashboard that are multifunctional. There are touch screens, voice commands, writing pads, a heads-up display on the windshield, and mirrors and 3D computer-generated images. It's adding more and more layers of complexity and information at the driver's fingertips without often considering whether it is a good idea to put all of these things at the driver's fingertips, said David Strayer. And David Strayer is the one that's examining all of this stuff about driver and car technology. That complexity increases the overall amount of time drivers spend trying to use those systems. The auto industry says the new systems are better alternatives for drivers than mobile phones and navigation devices that were not designed to be used while driving. The vehicle integrated systems are designed to be used in the driving environment and require driver attention that is supposedly comparable to tuning the radio or adjusting your climate controls, which have always been considered baseline acceptable behaviors while you are driving, said Wade Newton, who is a spokesman for the Alliance of Automobile Manufacturers. And of course, Wade Newton would say that. But I'm going to say that I have recently rented a vehicle from one of the renting agencies, and I've gotten into that car, and it is unbelievable, how complex some of those things are on the dashboard. Just simply turning the key and pushing the gas pedal is not the option anymore. You've got to kind of learn that new technology. What do you think, Nancy?
I don't have a complicated car.
I don't either, but remember we rented one of those cars and it was like, hey, what is this for? And you have to learn all of that before you even can get onto the road, and that's what I think this article is all about. It's dangerous if you don't know how to use all those buttons.
I don't think the drivers now need anything to deter their focus on driving. They're already using their phones.
I think they think the new thing will be a deterrence for them to use their cell phone and other things. But anyway, what have you got, Nancy?
This is kind of exciting. They're going to have a plus size for men. Plus size is just larger than the sizes that are there normally. This is written by Joseph Pisani from the Associated Press. Sites offer trendy looks for bigger guys. New York. Chris Sear doesn't like much about the big and tall clothes he finds in the stores. They're not very adventurous, he says, and the fit can be too baggy. And then there's the array of odd prints. A lot of Hawaiian shirts with sailboats and golf balls tend to pop in. But the stand-up comic from St. Louis says he is finding more fashionable threads for bigger guys online, as a crop of internet retailers are finally catering to the long-ignored group. Companies are making larger sizes of slim-cut jeans, bomber jackets, and other trendy clothes that shoppers say are hard to find elsewhere. Bigger size models are used when designing the clothes, which the companies say helps make sure the proportions are right. Rather than just making a pair of jeans larger, for example, they also adjust the back pockets and other details. ASOS, the hip online clothing seller, launched a line for plus-sized men late last year. MVP Collections, founded a year ago, sells velour hoodies in sizes up to 6XL, and motorcycle jeans that go up to a size 54. And the Winston Box, which calls itself a clothing subscription service for guys with some junk in the trunk, sends up to 4 items a month to members. There's a lot more options, says Sear. He pays $75 a month for the Winston Box, says the 3XL shirts he receives fit better than what he finds elsewhere. He also recently bought a blazer from ASOS that he wears to his stand-up shows. Men have long had big and tall shops to turn to, but young shoppers say they don't find the trendy clothes they crave there. Kyle Gammon, a college fashion student who lives in Savannah, Georgia, says ASOS has become his go-to after he discovered its plus-size line earlier this year. While fit can sometimes be a question for anyone buying online, Gammon has bought a couple of print shirts from the site. He likes the way they fit, giving him just enough room around his midsection without a lot of extra fabric in the arms. He's also a fan of the colors and styles that the site offers. They have a really good variety, says Gammon, which I'm not used to getting. Former baseball player Mo Vaughn, who co-founded MVP Collections, says he could find t-shirts and suits in his size, but nothing in between. Now his company sells items such as gray sport jackets and deconstructed jeans made with a bit of spandex for stretch. Why can't we be fly like everyone else? Vaughn says. Daniel Frenzy is an actor who starred in Mean Girls, joined the Winston Box as creative director earlier this year after seeing an ad for the company on Facebook. He says stylists often had trouble finding clothes for him to wear on TV roles or for red carpet events. Fashion forgets about the bigger male, Francis says. That's still generally true, even with the new options. Several market research firms said they didn't track or have estimates of the value of the men's big and tall clothing market. And startups say that to promote their brands, they don't go to conventions and events around the country aimed at curvy or plus-size women because there aren't any for big men. Diana Smith, a retail and apparel analyst at research group Mintel, expects that to change. She says the high obesity rate, plus an increase in the number of men who really care about how they dress, will increase the demand for big-size men's clothing. She says the success of women's plus-size clothing, which according to NPD Group had sales of $20.6 billion in the last year. There's a lot of buying power there, says Smith. At ASOS, it was the positive feedback from its women's plus-size line, launched about 8 years ago, that pushed the company to create one for men, says head designer Nick Eli. ASOS says about 15% of its men's line is now available in bigger sizes, and it expects to increase that percentage. About 30 brands such as Puma and Tommy Hilfiger also make big and tall sizes for the site. I don't honestly know why it's been a forgotten market for so long, says Eli.
And here's a little more information in regards to how the Boy Scouts plan to expand the girls' participation in the program. This announcement follows many months of outreach by the Boy Scouts of America, which distributed videos and held meetings to discuss the possibility that it will expand girls' participation beyond the existing programs such as Venturing, Exploring, and Sea Scouts. Surveys conducted by the Boy Scouts showed strong support for the change among parents not currently connected to the Scouts that include Hispanic and Asian families that the Boy Scouts of America has been trying to attract in the past. Among families already in the scouting community, the biggest worry, according to Surbaugh, was that the positive aspects of single-sex comradeship might be jeopardized. We will make sure those environments are protected. What we are presenting is a fairly unique hybrid model. During the outreach, some parents expressed concern about possible problems related to overnight camping trips. Surbaugh said there would continue to be a ban on mixed gender overnight outings for scouts from the age of 11 to age 14. Cub Scout camping trips, he noted, were usually family affairs with less need for a rigid policy. The Girl Scouts of the USA have criticized the initiative, saying it strains the century-old bond between the two organizations. Girl Scout officials have suggested the Boy Scouts of America's move was driven partly by a need to boost their revenue, and they contended there is a fiscal stress in part because of past settlements paid by the Boy Scouts of America in sex abuse cases. In August, the president of the Girl Scouts, Kathy Hannon, accused the Boy Scouts of seeking to covertly recruit girls into their programs while disparaging the Girl Scouts operations. And on Monday, Latino civic leader Charles Chuck Garcia, just days after being named to the Girl Scouts National Board, wrote an opinion piece for the Huffington Post calling the Boy Scouts of America overture to girls a terrible idea. The Boy Scouts house is on fire, said Chuck Garcia. Instead of addressing systemic issues of continued sexual assault, financial mismanagement, and deficit programming, Boy Scouts of America's senior management wants to add an accelerant to the house by recruiting girls. Instead of recruiting girls, Garcia said, the Boy Scouts of America should focus on attracting more Black, Latino, and Asian boys, particularly those from low-income households. The Boy Scouts recently increased its annual membership fee for youth members and adult volunteers from $24 to $33. But the decision to expand programming from girls or for girls was not driven by financial factors. The Girl Scouts, founded in 1912, and the BSA, or the Boy Scouts of America, are among several major youth organizations in the United States of America, and they are experiencing sharp drops in membership in recent years, and the reasons include competitions from sports leagues, a perception by some families that they are old-fashioned, and busy family schedules cause a decrease in membership. As of March of this year, the Girl Scouts reported that more than 1.5 million youth members and 749,000 adult members, down from just over 2 million youth members and 800,000 adult members in 2014. The Boy Scouts say current youth participation is about 2.35 million, which is down from 2.6 million in 2013 and more than 4 million in peak years of past years. Earlier this year, the National Organization for Women urged the Boy Scouts to allow girls to join. Now, said it was inspired by the efforts of a 15-year-old New York City girl by the name of Sydney Ireland to emulate her older brother, who is an Eagle Scout. Unlike the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts have maintained girls-only status for their programs. This empowerment of girls is at the core of its mission, and we know that girls learn best in an all-girl, girl-led environment, said Andrea Bastiana Archibald, who is a psychologist and provides expertise on the development for the Girl Scouts national programming. Finally, the Boy Scouts' new policy on girls was hailed by Zach Walls, an Eagle Scout who played an active role in pressuring the Boy Scouts of America to end its ban on gays. However, he urged the Boy Scouts to take one more step and end its exclusion of atheists and non-believers who do not profess to have a duty to God. Nancy?
Wow.
Interesting, isn't it?
Man, can't believe that. Well, we can't forget Nate and the remnants drenched in the Northeast. We're going to go to Biloxi, Mississippi, where remnants of Hurricane Nate buffeted the U.S. Northeast with wind and rain Monday, while power crews restored most electrical service on the Gulf course, and an overdue cruise ship delayed by the storm finally headed into port. With the center of the tropical depression located near the eastern shore of Lake Erie, forecasters said parts of Pennsylvania and New York could receive 2 inches of rain or more. Police in Amherst, New York shared photos of water covering some roads. Meanwhile, in the southeast, utilities said crews had restored electrical service to all but a few thousand of the more than 100,000 homes and businesses that lost power because of Nate in Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and Florida. Stuck in the Gulf of Mexico for 2 days because of Nate, the Carnival Fantasy began moving toward its berth after the Coast Guard reopened the port of Mobile, Alabama. The ship originally was supposed to dock on Saturday after a 5-day trip. It was due in at 4 p.m. Monday. Some passengers complained about the unscheduled delay on social media. The Carnival spokeswoman Christine de la Huerta said the ship had plenty of provisions and would return when able. The ship has a total guest capacity of 2,056 people, carries a crew of 920. At Dauphin Island, Alabama, Mayor Jeff Collier said workers were using heavy equipment to remove as much as 6 feet of sand that washed across a more than 3-mile stretch of the island's main road. Hurricane Center said a depression in the open Atlantic had strengthened into Tropical Storm Ophelia on Monday, but the system didn't pose any threat to land.
Pipelines progress. Until now, the drive to build a natural gas pipeline from West Virginia to North Carolina was speeding along like a freight train on empty tracks. There have been plenty of efforts to halt the 600-mile, $5 billion project, but the opinions that count, federal and state regulators who give the green lights, will have all been in the pipeline's favor. This concludes our broadcast of the Fayetteville Observer. Your radio hosts today have been Clark and
Nancy.
And at 2 p.m., please listen to the Southern Pines Pilot. And at 4 p.m., you can hear Off the Bookshelf. Additionally, you will hear a rebroadcast of today's Fayetteville Observer tonight at 9 p.m. We will now join the Raleigh Network for additional news of interest. We want to thank you for tuning us in, and we have enjoyed being with you this morning, and have a wonderful day. And we would like to remind you that today is the first day, or the opening day, of the state fair? Be there or be square? Yeah, we can tell her. What happened? Doesn't want to play.
Doesn't want to stop. Oh, come on.
I unplugged it. See the microphone.
Are you kidding me?
Maybe we should click it. No, it won't do it. How do you turn it off anyway?